So therefore, one should be humble in success. One should be perspective in failures. Perceptive in failures. Failure is not your failure. Actually, it is not a failure. It might have some reason why something has happened the way it is happening. So these categories of success and failure has no meaning in the holistic concept. This is the kind of category breaking thinking. Success, failure, profit, loss. Oh, I made a huge profit. But somebody else is suffering because you made a huge profit. And that somebody else will take his revenge on you later. So therefore, in holistic thinking, these categories have no meaning. Success, failure, my, yours. So Maharishi says, karma kim param karma tajjadam. So this egoistic karma action has no efficacy at all. Independently it cannot do anything. So whenever you are successful in a certain effort, thank God. When you are failure, understand what is the message that power is conveying to you in that failure. That makes you reflective, contemplative. So kartrurajnaya prapyade phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. So therefore, don't invest too much in your self-effort, he says. Now invest, but don't expect much. You can invest. You can train yourself, you can update your skills, you can try to improve and pursue zero defect products. All these are possible. But suddenly a tsunami comes, the whole thing is gone. Then the whole factory is shut down. So several things can happen in between. And hence he says, one has to be patient. One has to have a larger vision of things. So please read that now. Let us read it now. I hope it makes some sense to you now. Kartrurajnaya prapyade bhalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. So the karma kim param is a question, it's a rhetorical question Ramana asks. Why do you think that karma, your effort is independently, param means independently efficacious, independently powerful? Is a question. And the answer is, my thought was wrong. That's not the way to think. My effort is only one factor among many factors which creates an outcome. However, you may say other things remaining the same, other things never remain the same, unfortunately. Maybe in a laboratory situation other things may remain the same. There also things can go out of your control. Nowhere other things remain the same. That's only in your mind. Other things remain the same, not in the actual world. Actual world is a constant flux and change. So therefore, karma kim param, because karma, tad karma jadam. Karma is indeed, karma means individual effort. Individual effort is indeed jadam, inert. So this puts some sense into our mind, into our thinking. Now this makes us experience ourselves in the context, a very complex cosmic context. And your context doesn't end just by the society or your immediate environment. It has got ripples and ripples, and it goes and envelops the whole universe. So karma tad jadam karma. Now continuing. Now if you give too much importance to the ego and egoistic effort, thinking that by that you can create your destiny and a comfortable living condition, if you think like that, I forewarn you, Maharishi says, You are in a wrong track. Next. Kridimaho dadhau padana karanam balamashashwadam gadi nirodhagam. This idea is a Eastern idea. It is shared by Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, all religions, because it come from East. The idea of samsara sagar or samsara chakra. Kriti mahodadi. Mahodadi means an ocean. Udadi means water. Mahodadi means large body of water, meaning an ocean. Mahodadi. Do you see that word there? Mahodadav. Mahodadi means large body of water, which is an ocean. An ocean is saline, isn't it? 75% of the earth, surface of the earth is ocean, and the water is saline. Your body also saline water, 75%. That is why some people believe we emerge from the oceans. And so the ocean, which is saline water, and suppose you fall into the ocean. Suppose, don't get scared. Suppose, you just imagine, it's a thought experiment. You fall into the ocean, and or when you go on a cruise, the first they give you some tips. The one tip is, as by some chance you fall into the ocean, at that time we don't have the time to wear our safety jacket, safety belt and all that. So you fall into the ocean, and then what should you do? Try not to drink the water of the ocean. Fortunately, if you have the safety jacket, then of course you are in the ocean, you are floating in the ocean, but don't drink of the ocean. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. And when you see the water, you feel very thirsty, and the sun, no trees, no shade. So there is an urge to drink, there is the thirst, but you are forewarned not to drink the water. Because if you drink the water, the more you drink, the more thirsty you feel, isn't it? And finally your stomach bursts, and then the football is punctured and you die. So the warning is, never ever drink of the ocean. And when you float like that, maybe some ship, guru ship will come and lift you. Somebody may come. Then you have to only wave your hand and he'll come and pick. But you must float at least. Don't drink the water. But there is all the temptation to drink the water. So that's the simile example used here. This samsara, this life, egoistic life, or avidya, life of avidya, ignorance, ego, is like an ocean, a saline ocean. You are drowning in that. So if you give too much importance to your self-effort, thinking that by that I will create a heaven for me, I wouldn't care for anything else. And this is the life we are leading now. We don't think of the future, we don't think of our environment, we don't think of anything. We just think of our immediate gratification. And a result of that, now the bills are coming. Earlier, you paid one credit card with another credit card, that credit card with another credit card, this credit card with another credit card, and finally the bill is coming, piling up. Now who will pay is the question. So Maharishi in a very dramatic way explains that situation, describe that situation. What is the situation? Kridimaho dadau, the ocean of action and reaction, he says. Kridi means action. Karma, kriti. Both mean the same thing. The ocean of action and reaction. I already given you that chakra, that wheel of samsara. It all begins with your wrong idea about yourself, which is called ignorance, avidya. Savidya gives you a false sense of identity, which is called asmita, from which comes likes and dislikes. Then action, self-centered action. Then a result. Whether it is an expected or unexpected result, you are frustrated and disappointed. I am yet to see a person who is happy with whatever he has or she has. Yet to see a person. Is always thinking of what he doesn't have, what others have. Constantly thinking of the other. So, when a particular result comes as a result of your previous action, are you happy? No. You are disappointed or unhappy. We thought by building this ashram we will be very happy. Now we realize how unhappy we are. We should not have gone for this, but it's a late realization. Now you are holding on to, you cannot get out of this. It's like that bear, thinking that it is a black kambal. Kambal is a woolen garment, let us say. Thinking that it's a kambal, we rushed and embraced it. And when we embraced it, we realized it is a bear, black bear. And now I want to get out, but the bear will not let me go. The bear is holding on to me. So he says, if you think that a certain outcome will make you happy, you are a wrong track. You must be happily doing all this. If you are happily doing all this, you are always happy. But if you think after building the ashram I am going to be happy, you will never. You will never be happy. You will be worrying and unhappy, disappointed, frustrations. So that is the ego project we are talking. Out of your unhappiness, you do things. Then you create expected and unexpected outcome. Then you are frustrated and disappointed. Then by the time it becomes a habit, it leaves sediments in your unconscious. Vasanas are created. And as a result of the vasana, you want to repeat. So you come into a vicious cycle. Going round and round and round and round. This is called samsara. Samsara means going round and round. Then why don't you give it up? Not possible. Because there is a certain force that makes you do it. Certain habits, certain comfort zones you have created. So we are happy, we are trying to live in that situation. Are you happy? No. Do you want to get out of it? No. So then what's the problem with you? So he says, I don't want to get out of it. I don't want to be, I am not happy. This is called samsara chakra. Kriti mahodadi. Of course, you can pull a bullet into your head. But then the problem is you will again take birth. You will again, so this is called the samsara chakra. It is not one life, many lives are there. Or sometime, you shoot yourself, but then others suffer for you. It's always a problem. So he says, look at the fun of this. Kriti mahodata padana karanam. So we did all this to be happy, but at the end of the day, we are still unhappy. We are still wanting something else, something more, something different. This is called, it's like drinking the water from the ocean. The more you drink, the thirstier you are. It becomes an addiction. So you become like a machine. You continue to do the thing. It's like people saying, I am not complaining, but you are complaining. In between, saying that I am not complaining doesn't help. You are complaining. So life becomes miserable because the whole motivation was different. The whole motivation was an egoistic motivation. It was a self-aggrandizing motivation, not self-giving motivation. So you come to a grinding halt and then you go round and round and round. Samsara chakra. New encrustation, new vasanas. And finally your soul is completely muffled. Not able to get out of the whole thing. This is what happens. So krudi mahodadau padana karanam. So those kind of activities, though all done with a certain expectation, become a prison for you. So we give the example of that silkworm. They say the silkworm, in one day, it can secrete 1400 meters of silk. I don't know whether it is true or not, but that is what I was told in a silk factory. This worm, it can secrete 1400 meters of silk. And in the process it is entombing itself in the... And who is the beneficiary? The sericulturist. He'll come, put the worm in a hot water, take the silk, and the worm dies. Poor thing. So this is the situation. So he says, krudi mahodadau padana karanam. This kind of ego projects will make you drown in the ocean of kriti, action and reaction. So kriti, please translate as action and reaction, because action always creates a reaction. And then again it conditions your further action. So you are not able to get out of that cycle, however you may try. And then it becomes like in the falling into tar pit. In California you have these tar pits, big wells with the tar. And accidentally if you fall into that, every effort to come out will take you more into that. Every effort. Or an elephant trying to come out of a marsh. The more it tries, the more it goes into the marsh. That is the situation. So kriti mahodadau padana karanam. And then bhalam ashashwadam. And whatever thing you create by your effort, all these are ashashwadam, perishable. Whatever you create is perishable. That's the one law of creation. What is created is perishable. It will not stick with you. Before you start enjoying it, it is gone. That kind of pleasure is perishable. It creates more uncertainties. So bhalam ashashwadam. And what is imperishable is your true blissful nature. That we ignore. And then we create a bliss outside, which is perishable. So what is lasting we ignore. What we give attention, it is perishable. And we have no way of knowing what is the lasting. So that's the situation now. So bhalam ashashwadam. All the results, the bhala that you create is ashashwadam. Is perishable. Whatever you create is perishable. Where it is a body or a thought or a culture or a civilization has to perish. Here the thought is not linear here. In the Western culture, you think in terms of linear creation. Progress is linear. It is continuous. It never comes down. It's like thinking that if I throw a stone, it will go up and up and up and up and up. It doesn't. It has to. When the energy boost is exhausted, it has to come down. It has to come down. So whatever has gone has to come back. Whatever has gone up has to come back. That's kind of a cyclical thinking, holistic thinking. is what Ramana Maharshi propagates. So Kriti Mahodadho Padana Karanam. So this is burnt into the Eastern thinking, at the very core of the Eastern thinking, that whatever you create has to perish. So therefore, be ready for it. Don't get shocked. With the lot of effort I put my lifetime savings into that, and then it is perishing. That's why the idea of playfulness comes. You create and be prepared for its obsolescence. That this also will perish, this also will pass away. So before it leaves you, you are ready to leave it. That kind of attitude, which is called detachment. So detachment is you are creating, but then you are not stuck. You are not stuck with what you are creating. So that you can create further. And where do you get the energy? From the self. The self gives you the energy. The consciousness gives you the energy. So create, leave it, move ahead, create, leave it, move ahead. That should be your spirit. So where do you get to the resources? The resources are there, plenty. It's a spiritual resource, not the material resource. Because material resources are perishable. So, kriti bhalam ashashwadam. Whatever bhala means what you create. Whether it is a relationship, whether it is an institution, whether it is a culture, whether it is civilization, whether it is a superpower status, everything is perishable. But does that mean you don't do anything? Everything is perishable, so let me sit and sleep. No, that's not the solution. Knowing that, engage in the creative activity. So does that mean you don't build an ashram? No. Knowing that is perishable, you engage in that. Then why do you do that? Out of your own inner joy. Out of your own inner joy you are doing it. That requires a lot of inner strength. So when you do out of your inner joy, the whole nature cooperates with you. So for you it is not an effort. Though apparently you are putting a lot of effort. So bhalam ashasha. So we have to get the right message from all this. You can draw a wrong message also, wrong lesson. Therefore, today onwards I am not doing anything. Why? Everything is perishable. So what are you doing? Sleeping. That also is perishable, unfortunately. That also is perishable. How can you sleep? So you have to do something. So that's not the solution. The solution is engaging in creative activities and enjoying it and leaving the fruits. Be detached from the fruits. Because your bliss does not depend upon the fruits. So that's a very enjoyable, that's a very, very beautiful lifestyle, if you can get the hang of it. If you don't get the hang of it, you will get into wrong places. Getting the hang of it, getting the swing is very important. Otherwise you only dislocate your elbow, you dislocate your hand. You must get the swing. All can lead to wrong conclusions. So, kriti mahod. So imagine that picture. Kriti mahod. You are working, you are reacting to it and become a habit. You are not able to get out of it. You are stuck with it. You are unhappy, and then but you cannot do anything about it. You continue to do it. Same thing. So all these problems is because the wrong beginning. You began from the wrong place. So kriti mahodadho. What is the wrong place? You thought I am doing it. So Ramana Maharshi says it is God who ordains the fruits of action. So you have the bigger picture. Otherwise it was a narrow picture. The big picture. I don't know, I told you the story about the big picture. Maybe because I tell this story several places. If you have told you, then you immediately remind me that. A guru and shishya walking in a garden. Did I tell you the story? No. A guru and shishya is walking in a garden, and then shishya noticed a little sparrow. I think I told you the story here. A small sparrow. So the shishya told the Guruji, what is this? God's creation. This sparrow, it requires only 2 grains a day. And it has got 2 wings. And its area of operation is so vast. And what does it require? Only 2 grains. Whereas, look at the elephant. It requires so much. It requires 44 kilos of bamboo every day. And God has not given it a wing. If it had wing, it can fly everywhere and eat from there, eat from here. So God is not that intelligent, I think. Because the sparrow has been given wing and it requires nothing. It can go everywhere. Elephant need a lot to eat, but it has no wing. It is slow moving. What is this? Guruji said, I have no answer, because God knows. I am a limited person. I have no answer. I can solve your problem, not God's problem. Therefore, if you have a problem, I can solve it. So I have no answer for it. Anyway, let us walk. As they were walking, a crow flew across and put its droppings on his head. And he was very perturbed. He tried to. And then Guruji said, see, why God did not give wings to the elephant? If the elephant is flying and falls on your head, you will be buried in the elephant dung. Now you know how intelligent God is. So this is called the big picture. When you get the big picture, things become meaningful. Otherwise things are not meaningful. From your little standpoint, many things doesn't make any sense. But from a higher standpoint, a lot of things, everything makes sense. That is the meaning of wisdom, trying to see the sense in everything. All that happens has got a meaning. It has got a purpose. So when you know that, then you are a wise person. Then you have no conflict. So kriti mahodadau padana karanam bhalam ashashwadam gadi nirodhagam. So he says, and now, so bhalam ashashwadam. So too much dependence upon this karma bhala, your personal effort and its result, and trying to be happy in that way, is a limited way of living in this world. And in that process, you lose your final goal. Gedi means the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is forgotten in the process. Ultimate goal is to be a happy person. That is forgotten. That is never attained. Ultimate goal is to realize your fullness of being or whatever. That is forgotten, and you are lost in the minutiae of things, details. So Gedi Nirodhagam. Gedi is the progress toward the higher, the ultimate goal. Gedi. Nirodhaka means that which is impedes. This occupation, preoccupation with the ego and ego project impedes your ultimate progress. Gedi Nirodhagam. It's an impediment in the path. So therefore, one has to be very careful. You will never get out of this little vicious cycle because you are too much preoccupied with this. So one has to get out of this situation. So two problems. One is kriti mahodado padana karanam, you drown in this ocean of action-reaction, and then you are not able to pull yourself out of this, and you are lost. The unfortunate thing is that you don't drown also. If you drown and finish it, then it's okay. You come up, take a little bit of air, again go down, come up. This is what happens. So it's a very frustrating experience. So balamasasudam gadi nirodhakam. And you accumulate more and more vasanas, more and more habits, more and more mechanical behavior. And in the process you move farther and farther from your center. So you become a marginalized person. You lose the center in the process. So bhalama shashudam gedi niro. So gedi there you can say mukti, nirvana, moksha, or self-realization, or happiness, bliss, God, gedi. Your destination. Your destination is blocked. You are not able to reach your destination as a result of this. As a result of what? Too much preoccupation with the karma, self-effort, and the result thereof. Because an effort is always involves a outward movement. Because unless you engage in activities with a contemplative mind, activity is always distracting. Contemplation is important. Initially it may be exciting, but then it becomes distracting. So that is the danger in all kind of activities. So contemplative action you cannot avoid also. So one has to see with what spirit, with what attitude one must engage in activities. If you don't have the right attitude, activities can become a trap. If you have the right attitude, activities can become a enhancing experience. That's it. So you have to be very intelligent using it, wise. Wise in dealing with the world and dealing with the relationship and dealing with work. One should be wise. The last 500 years we were furiously active. The Western culture is known for its extrovertedness and activity, competition, exploitation. It paid some rewards. Always it pays. Because the net or the net of your entrapment is laid very slowly. It is not done in one day. It is done very, very slowly. So you don't realize it till you get caught in it. Like the silkworm. So therefore he says, one has to be always contemplative in activity. Because the contemplation centers you. And activity gives you the creative experience. So kriti mahodadau padana karanam bhalam ashashudam gadi nirodhakam. So the dilemma here is, one cannot avoid a relationship, activities, thinking. But at this point, thinking, relationship and activity all are leading to unhappiness only. And then sometimes we think, okay, let me retire and sit in a cave. Even then, even if you sit in a cave, the world wouldn't leave you. It will memories, all your old habits, all those are there. So now the question is not giving up of activity and relationship, but using it effectively. That's the only method we have to think of. how do we use all this? How do you use these tools? The tools with which you create your own entombment or your own problems, how can you use the same thing for liberating yourself? That's only. Yeah, that's the only thing we can think of. That's what we are going to think of next session. How do you use the world, your relationship, your activities, your creativity? How do you use it to uplift yourself, to put you into the other orbit? That we'll see next sloka deals with that. Otherwise you will be wondering, the Swami is asking all of you to go and sleep, do nothing. No, that's not what we are saying. You can be supremely active, but there is a way of being active. Action can be reactive, action can be creative. At this point we are in reactive activity. We are active because we are trying to escape from something else or teaching somebody a lesson. We are not active because we have to, we want to. It's always a reaction to something else. Those kind of activities will not give you much mileage. So with what attitude one should engage in activity? That's what he says next. We'll see after a break. We'll assemble at what time? 11:45? 11:45 we'll assemble. I hope it's clear to you. It's not difficult in understanding. I'm trying to make it as simple and as contextual as possible to make it in your context. Because when you talk in India, we won't talk like this. We will use a lot of Sanskrit words and then we assume a lot of things. So we are trying to make it very, very relevant to your experience, and that's what we are trying to do. Thank you.